Hey guys, I'm Nena, and today I'll be doing reviews of two books I read recently and loved. One is The Virgin Suicides by Eugenides, and the other is Friendship by Emily Gould. So let's talk about The Virgin Suicides first. I've read The Marriage Plot by Eugenides, but I hadn't read any of his other works, and I know for a lot of people this book, or Middlesex, is their favorite book of all time, so I was really excited to read this. And I've never seen the movie either, so I was basically going into this blind. In case you don't know the story, it's about 5 girls who are sisters, and they all commit suicide. It's set in a small suburban town in Michigan, and it's told from the perspective of the boys in their neighborhood. These boys are looking back later as adults and trying to piece together why exactly the girls committed suicide all those years ago. So it's really interesting that it's told from an outside perspective. We never get into the mind of the Lisbon girls, the 5 sisters, and so we never know exactly what they're thinking or what motivates their actions. We only know what the boys are guessing and surmising about what happened. The writing is really fluid. It's sort of dreamy and haze-like, this setting. To me it kind of feels like you're lazing about in the sun and sort of just drifting off. You're not unconscious, you're sort of semi-conscious. That's the kind of vibe that I got as I was reading this. So this town that they live in is a suburb of Detroit, and it's sort of falling apart. People are leaving the neighborhood, and there's some sort of tree disease that's spreading, and the same thing is happening at the Lisbon house as well. Right in the beginning, you know that the girls are going to commit suicide, and everything goes downhill from there. At the beginning I mentioned that the boys are now adults as they're telling this story, and as children they're obsessed with these girls. They collect little belongings and sort of store them and save them and analyze and try to figure out who they are. The girls are very enigmatic and mysterious to them, and all they want to do is try and figure them out, but they can't. You can tell that they've had such an impact on their life because even as adults they're trying to figure out the mystery of these girls and figure out why they committed suicide, and they still have kept all the little trinkets that they saved, and they treat them as artifacts and evidence for the case that they're trying to make. This book explores a lot of different themes, including love and youth and obsession and nostalgia and life and family and death, and it weaves through all of those different themes really deftly, and I would definitely recommend this. I thought this was so interesting. This is one of those books that the more you reflect on it, the more kind of blown away you are. At least that's how it was for me. I finished it and I was like, whoa, and then a few days later I was like, whoa. And just the more I think about it, I'm just remembering all these little details and facts and thinking about what they might mean. So I'm really excited to watch the movie of this because I've heard it's a pretty good adaptation. The second book I wanted to talk about today is Friendship by Emily Gould, and I mentioned this in my July wrap-up that I did recently, and several people seemed interested, so I did want to go a little more in depth. It's a story about 2 women. One is named Amy and one is named Bev, and they're best friends. They both live in New York City, and they're late 20-somethings, and they're basically just both trying to get by. Bev is currently temping. She'd gone to grad school for a year, quit for various reasons, and is now temping to make ends meet. Meanwhile, Amy was a writer for a pretty well-known internet site, and then got involved in a scandal and had to leave that job. And now she's working at a job that she basically hates and wants to get out of. And it just follows these 2 women and the ups and downs of their friendship. There are 2 other side characters who are introduced pretty early on, and in the beginning you're kind of like, what do these people have to do with anything? But it makes sense as you continue. So I'll let you read it and figure out how they're involved in the story. What I loved most about this book was the characters themselves of Amy and Bev. They just were so realistic and believable to me. The author did such a good job of telling us who these characters are that I feel like I know them, and you know, when certain situations arise, I feel I can anticipate how they'll react because I know what kind of people they are. I think that's just brilliant that they're so fully formed in my mind. Also, I was really able to relate to this because it's about young 20-somethings who are broke and living in NYC, which is basically my life. And I really like that this dealt with a friendship between two women. You know, friendship is not always equal, and this book reflects that, and I think that's very true to life. At one point, Bev says something along the lines of, friendship is not about feeling mutually superior to the other person, and that really, you know, stuck with me and resonated. It made me think about the friendships in my life, and just like with other relationships, everything's not always hunky-dory. Sometimes you are really angry at the other person and you question whether you should be friends. So I like that this dealt with themes like that, and it made me think about balance in friendship and what that really means. I thought the writing in this book was really great too. It was humorous and witty and also sad at times and touching and really easy to get into. This reminded me of a book called The Love Affairs of Nathaniel P., which is another book sort of set in contemporary Brooklyn, and also the HBO show Girls. So if you've read that book or watched Girls and you liked it, I think you might also like this. So those are two quick reviews of books that I've read recently and really enjoyed. Currently I am reading Outlander and I'm loving it. That's a topic for another video another time, but if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I've been tweeting a lot about it because I'm hooked. Anyway, if you guys want to talk to me on Twitter or be friends on Goodreads or Instagram, I'm on all of those places and I'll leave my links below. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.